Hello, my name is Terry Sacka. I'm Chief Strategist, and I'm along with Dr. Charles Vance. We're here to give you headlines of interest. How you doing, Charles?
Good, thanks, Terry. How about you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I think we should recap a little bit from last week on the money market fund, what that really means. We started talking about how money market funds are defined now, and I want everyone to look through who has still brokerage accounts. You probably will see government cash reserve account. Now, it's important to know that because money market funds are defined, well, we're defined as a private savings account. Government cash reserve accounts are now under the word government. But here's the trick. Government cash reserve account, most of us won't even think. And I know one thing I'm learning about this, most people are not, they don't pay attention. They don't even know what they're invested in, let alone hear this. And remember, that document says that they send you, you don't have to do anything to opt in because they know you're not reading them. And if you decide you don't want it, they said close your account. What does that tell you? Now, government cash reserve account means by definition, if you look at what they invest in, it's not cash. It's 99% U.S. Treasuries. Now, I've had people say, isn't that fraudulent? Because they're saying cash reserve, but it's in Treasury. I'm like, well, to us and you and me, we the people, yes, sure, that seems fraudulent. If I were to do that as a business and say one word, knowing I'm misleading them, knowing my intention was to help them think it's cash, yeah, I probably get in trouble because they'll call it a sales practice violation. Well, not them, because the banking system somehow has immunity of everything. The reason they get away with it without being outright fraudulent, cash like this, a U.S. Treasury or a bond, and gold actually are known as a Tier 1 asset. And a Tier 1 asset means they're fungible. It's the word they use in the industry, known as fungible. Fungible just means they're interchangeable. So I can interchange cash, a bond, or gold, and it's all equal. I can buy a business with U.S. Treasuries because it's technically cash. So is gold. So because they're fungible, they can call it a cash reserve account even though it's in Treasuries because they're technically the same. But I don't know about you, and we the people better wake up to that. If you think U.S. Treasuries are equal to cash or gold, the gold way out there. Gold is so outside their league. Gold is like the superhero world to this little peon world of cash, fake money, and U.S. Treasuries. But they do call it equal. So anyway, we want to clarify that because you need to know if you're sitting in what you think is cash, you're not. Now, the government's going to back it up. Really? All through history, kings have taken things when they need them.
That don't belong to them.
That don't belong to them.
This is funny because
you call that funny? I don't call it funny.
That's not funny. I mean, it's funny because you get so fervent about it, which we should. Everybody should, but people are just setting. They like, if it's okay, just leave us alone.
Right.
Leave everything alone. Don't bother anything. Don't stir the pot. But the fact is, there's all kinds of laws in place already that if you have cash or whatever you have, these treasuries, that the government can just step in and seize a portion of it. Yeah. And they don't have to ask anybody because the laws are already in place. The first one was in 1933, or the first one that you can find if you do a search on it, 1964. They changed it just right after that from an Emergency War Act to an Emergency Act. So if the government says, we've got an emergency, that's all they have to do.
They just changed it in 2011 when Dodd-Frank, because now they call bank bail-in. So if you're in the system and that bank or that institution happens to fail, then the bail-in provision of the Dodd-Frank law says that you have to sacrifice a portion of your savings.
So that was the same thing that took place overseas. Cyprus, is that where it was?
Cyprus, Greece. Yes.
So they just came in and seized part of their money, closed the bank down, and seized part of the money before anybody could come and get the money out of the bank.
They call it a one-time tax to bail the bank out.
Nice.
Somehow as if we need the banks, you know what I mean? I think if we went, the reason I'm such a proponent of this, not that, we don't need any banks, and that's almost kind of silly because we've had banks all our life. But here's the difference. I am advocating go back to regional banks. Matter of fact, I hate to do this. I'm going to do it, but I really don't want to do this because I really dislike socialism. Socialism are like locusts. They suck and zap the resources of honest, innocent fruit, and then they move on. They're just nasty. That's what socialism is. Now, there's a senator named Elizabeth Warren. She's a socialist. And beyond that, she's a locust, so let's leave it at that. But she did, and what I love, this was crazy, I'm agreeing, because this is how real it is. I'm coming down to the point where those extreme socialists, they're not really socialists, they just think they are. If they really knew, I could teach them. We're all on the same page, because why? She's advocating for tearing down the big banks, the big institutional banks, commercial, back to the 1930 type of provision to keep us from ever having a crisis again. And I'm like, that's a great idea, because of everything I know about the banking system, beyond their crooked criminality behavior, is that the regional bankers, the local community bankers back in the day, the one bank for the town, that was more legitimate. They knew who you were. They give you loans based on character, business, and the ability to pay. It was legitimate. And I think the reason the socialists and people like myself agree is because it's true. If we go back to smaller regional banking rules, bust these people up. Now it's going to cause problems, but bust it up.
Let's clear this up. You're not a socialist.
Oh, please, everyone would know that by now. I was trained by the U.S. Army to kill socialists. The irony is they're in our country now, so I can't kill anybody to do that.
Some of them are running for president.
One's running for president.
And they tell people that they're socialists is what is amazing. That's how ignorant people are that would say, well, we want socialism. We want you to take what we worked for and give it to somebody that's not working.
And Charles, the irony is I was trained by the United States Army during, before, and after the Berlin Wall fell. You know, I got my National Defense Medal out of the Iraq thing, and you know, so I get what they're there. They need me in my generation to die off because we're educated, we know.
Sure.
And I'm only 48, so they're gonna have to wait a little while. But my generation knows, because we were trained in the military to identify a communist, socialist, and they were the enemy. That was what the Army trained me to do. Well, it kind of is weird now. I sit back, you know, I've got little babies now. I'm moving into this, you know, adult world. And our government, not yet, well, no, actually, yes, it is right now. Right now, this day, our government is what they call Marxist, which is take from those who produce and give to those who don't. AKA Obamacare is a classic example of Marxism. And all of those people who are in Obamacare are seeing their premiums staggering increases. You're going to see another 30–40% this November. So congratulations, everyone who voted Democrat. But what you want to understand is Marxism takes and gives. Europe is known as democratic socialism, where they vote in for socialism. That's what's advocating here. Then there's outright socialism, where they don't care, they control all the industries, and then they dole out. Then there's communism, of course, they just kill you if you get out of line. So you got to understand what these things mean. They're not just isms, they're actually ideologies. But the biggest thing and why I believe we can say this and be active about it, socialism 100% pure and simple does this, that each and every one of us in the kingdom should care about. They are here to destroy your God, your Bible, your Jesus Christ, period. If we haven't seen the absolute assault and near destruction of Christianity under President Barack Hussein Obama, I have never seen it in my entire life. I mean, the absolute assault and destruction of Christianity. So all I know is, aka Marxist to socialist, and it's not just him, it's those around him that are. All of his people are. I could go down the list if you want to. They're Muslim Brotherhood, which are tied to the Nazis back in World War II, and they're socialist and Marxist and communist backgrounds. Hey, I respect ideology differences. If they want to be. But be honest about who you are. See? Don't try to say I'm this and then be that, because they're fooling the American people. Not only when they did Obamacare did Gruber say, you know, they're stupid and so we can get it passed by them. Now we have Ben Rhodes, who's the assistant, one of the assistant intelligence directors for Obama. All I know is this: Ben Rhodes writes all of Obama's speeches. He sits in the basement of the White House and meets with the president 3 hours a day. Now, here's the thing. He was a fiction writer, and he writes this. Now, these people have no world experience, never been in the military, never created a business, and they're writing the narratives. And they're the ones orchestrating this. They admitted. A gentleman named Samuels did a beautiful piece on expose, and I think it was New York Times. And they admitted it, that they did the whole Iranian sanctions deal. And they did it with lies and deception. They admit they lied to these 27-year-old reporters. Ben Rhodes' brother runs CBS News. And what they do is they gave the narrative to these little 27-year-old reporters who have no world experience. They're no longer investigating, no longer researching. They gave them the narrative and said, go do it. They admitted if they didn't say it this way, it never would have sold the Iranian deal. They admit they manipulated and lied. And here's what I'm finally learning. They know they're liars. They know they're manipulators. And they know it doesn't matter. Just like in Obamacare and Gruber, they've got the video of the guy calling we the people stupid. How long did that last? Maybe 3 days? So they know they can tell you a lie because we're not paying attention enough nor care enough. And then you call them out, they still are going to say, so what? Then they're going to say, prove it. And even when you prove it, you have to backtrack. So you see, they just don't care. So when someone doesn't care to that level, and they're also coming after our Jesus Christ, our Bible, and they're trying to tell us we have to accommodate perversion and all this weird stuff, when do we stand when the Bible says to stand? And so when I'm trying to tell you about the financial aspects, you think they're telling you the truth? Or is maybe some of the anointed in God telling you the truth? So I really encourage you to get an education. The most important thing for your future, the kingdom's protection, is to protect our assets. And a good place to get started is right here with information. Take it down.
Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those of you who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you who have cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call our toll-free number or register on our website now.
Now, I personally knew that there was going to be one day where that you just opened up and let your heart out on this month, because we talked about this before we started taping, and you said, I've got to hold back. And
I was kind about it.
I know, and in the break you were telling me, but it's true. I know it's true, and you were calm. I appreciate that part of it, because you can get really pound the fist on the desk.
I guess one thing I've learned is the Bible says the truth will set you free, and I think it's about time people know the truth.
Yeah, but you got to do something about the truth. You can't just know it. Jesus said, if you know the truth, he said, and you continue in my word, you'll know the truth, and then the truth makes you free.
Well, and see, the difference is I'm not beating up on these people. I'm not saying you this, you that. What I'm saying is...
it's just truth.
It's truth, but I also said I respect their difference of opinion. I actually respect the socialists. I respect Bernie Sanders, and he comes right out and admits it. I respect that. It's up to us to say why that is wrong, respectfully, maturely, and why I believe we as a nation and we the people need to choose a different direction. So I respect you outright saying who you are. What I really disrespect and have me frothing like a rabid dog over is when they sit there and they look at you in the camera and they look at you during the election cycle and say, I'm fighting for the middle class.
Right.
You know what? I'm the middle class. And who got hurt the most the last 7 years? Yeah, the middle class. You got screamed and just driven right over. I don't like that they try to act like there's something. Like they say they're for God. And at the convention, when they said they wanted to take God out of the platform for the Democrats, what did they do? They barked and howled like demons, because they actually were demons. But the point is, they rushed in and go, oh my gosh, put God back in the platform. God forbid the people actually know we don't believe in God. So you see, what I don't like, especially like in the Clintons and them, they tell you one thing, but they're really doing this. So deceivingly dishonest and frothingly rabid. And that's, I guess, what it is.
Now, with that being said, yeah, I've got you started again. I didn't mean to. With that all being said,
yes,
there is deceit in this money market. And people need to be aware of that. I mean, for them to send a letter, I've gotten insurance letters like that before.
That's kind of what I'm saying.
That we're going to change your stuff up without telling you, and it's right down on the bottom in real small print.
Yes.
And I've actually called the insurance company and said, you changed my insurance. And they said, well, it was in the letter we sent to you 2 months ago. I said, what letter? They said, well, it's on the bottom of the letter. Well, they're doing the same thing now with people's money, where people think that it's safe to some degree. And there actually is no safety involved in it.
Well, and I say call it out for truth. All I'm saying is I advocate truth.
Absolutely.
And that's why Wealth Transfer News has been doing this for years.
Now,
because here's the truth.
If people were calling these folks instead of sending them a letter and saying, hey, we want to let you know that your funds are not safe anymore because the government can manipulate them, do anything you want, how many people are going to stay there?
Okay, not even go there. Let's just say this. I mean, let's just really try to be on their side. Let's try to play along. They call it a government cash reserve account. They know it's not cash.
Sure.
But they called it cash because they were trying to fool people. At least say government cash reserve account, mainly 98% in U.S. Treasuries. Now, if you look it up, you'll see that. But they don't. They did it on purpose. And that's just all I'm saying is
it's typical dialogue, though.
I know.
That's typical news dialogue on the left. It's typical government dialogue.
I know.
And that's one of the reasons that people are so up in arms about let's get rid of the government acting people.
You wonder why Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump are just going nuts. They are underestimating Donald Trump. Why? Because everyone is tired of don't look in that camera and lie to my face.
Absolutely.
And you're right about the financials, because look at this. Let's go into this. Here's the financials for you. Because we are trying so hard to get people to see this truth. You want to hear financials. Your money market's not money market, it's a U.S. Treasury. So you better watch that one if you think you're cozy. One thing I like about it, the banking system, the corporate world, and the government are all kind of in cozy world. It always has been, all the way back. Okay, fine. We the people, though, are we the people. Now, we technically established this nation under the auspice of Declaration of Independence, we the people. I still think we the people, if we would pull ourselves out of the ether and actually pull ourselves away from the entertainment world and stop eating and look at the reality and say and pray and say, God, show me, be the lamp unto my feet. Let the revelation wake us up. If we do that, we would realize this is fake and we're in trouble if we don't get protected. Look at this data that we're going to get into now. Talk about reality check. This is debt. Now, this is all sectors, debt, securities, and loans, liability level. The big gray bar on the right, that's the 2008 collapse. Now, if you notice, the debt's been rising since the 70s from left to right. Straight up, printing money, debt, 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 debt. That has been the American dream. What you think is the American dream has been nothing more than big, fat credit card bills. 2008 comes, oh, we hit a little bump. Well, look what happened after they started printing the trillions of dollars in what they call QE, or just another way of fooling we the people. It's money printing. What happens? Our debt skyrockets even higher.
Well, and they put that money in the system so that it would, because this system, what do you call the type of system? Keynesian?
Keynesian economics.
It's that type of economics. This system is operated by it. The only way it works is for people to keep moving the money.
Yes, and I'm praying God brings, unfortunately, when this reset and collapse comes, which is coming, I don't care what anybody says, it's coming, it's just when, I don't know, but it is. There will be a lot of people being hurt. So that's why I'm so passionate that we in the kingdom are properly protected by asset. So we have the wealth transfer, not so that we can eat filet mignon, which God doesn't mind, but that we have the ability to help our brothers and sisters through this. Because what Charles said is true. I'm praying some intelligent people come out of this that start making the argument for an Austrian economic system. Saving and producing. That'll be the only real way that we as a nation come out. But I'm not so sure that there's any faith in that. But wait until you see some of the other statistics I'm going to show you of what our financial markets are really like. And you may want to take check that this is not, oh, we're going to be okay. Because this time around, it's going to be a lot worse than you think, and it's just a matter of being educated. So, what's the best thing you can do for yourself? Get an education. There's a good place to start. You can register, you can give us a call, go somewhere else if you want. Just get it done. Here you go.
Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those of you who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you who have cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call our toll-free number or register on our website now.
Now, for all you middle class out there, which I'm part of, coming from Detroit Automotive, and I'm more than happy to be part of the middle class, striving to be the upper middle class, striving to be the wealthy, because in America, we can be anything we want. Dr. Ben Carson is the greatest example on the planet of that, because he's from Detroit, my good old city brother. And I say brother as in the context of Christians, so don't get me on that other stuff, because I don't care. All I know is that man comes from the hood, but he had a mother that said read books, and look what he became.
I tell you, you should read, if you have, people need to read his books.
Yes.
I'm on book number 2 of his. The one he did, the latest one that he did on the Constitution, is so enlightening.
Woo.
I mean, people need to know what the Constitution of the United States is
You
about.
would hope so.
Yeah, but I mean, they don't. We're not
you know,
taught that in school anymore. I wasn't even taught it in school.
You see, capitalism that people don't understand. Here's what capitalism is and isn't. The socialists and the Bernies and all those people, they think capitalism is this. They're looking at the banking system and defining capitalism. Those are not capitalists. Capitalists come from, if you want to go, capitalists come from Main Street. Main Street is we the people.
Sure.
And this is where Dr. Ben Carson comes into play and why I love this. He is such an epitome of what America was about. He was no father, in the hood, no food, poor as you could possibly be. Everyone would judge that book by the cover and say, you're going to jail or dead. But he had a mother who was dynamic, had to be, told him to read books, and he did. Well, not only does that man rise up out of the hood of Detroit.
He and his brother both, Curtis and he.
Oh, I didn't know about his brother, so that's even cooler.
Yeah, his brothers.
So not only do they do this, see, what a wonderful mother, right? Can you imagine? So they rise up, he becomes head of neurosurgery,
Amazing.
Johns Hopkins University, the first one to actually take apart a Siamese twin. The guy is magnificent story. Now, what is he? He's Main Street. He was we the people who had an opportunity to rise and become something. In a socialist world, you will never go from poor to rich. Almost never. Because it's designed to chain you to that little box they stick you in, and you be quiet and get your $500 in your little food rations and don't say anything. But in America, you can rise. Look at Dr. Carson. Man, I just love him as an image of what capitalism is. See, 70% of all job creation in America, plus, come from small business. Those are the capitalists. So if anything, because we kind of went a little, Charles likes to stick it to me with it, but if anything, when you're around your barbecues...
I was trying to get you to calm down. Just for the record, I was trying to get him to calm down.
Well, you know what? You bring up that word truth, and it's all of a sudden it fires me up. Oh, but if
it's
anything
something to get fervent about, really.
Yes, we have a minute or so left, but I want to say this. What does this all mean that we're talking about? When you're around the barbecues this summer, when you're around the water coolers with people, it's not a political bam. How about say this? It's about truth. And if you want to talk about capitalism as it really is. Capitalism is Main Street. Main Street is we the people. Main Street brings in 70+% of all employment in this country. That is capitalism. And you know what capitalism does and Main Street does? It takes a poor child from the hood and makes him super wealthy and successful. That is what capitalism can do. In no way, in Marxism or socialism or any of it, can ever allow that to happen. We, the people, the United States of America, because our Constitution was formed under the Bible, because our truth is set by the standards of the Word of God, we have an opportunity to be everything excellent. So I encourage you to describe it that way in this political discourse and let God be the lamp unto your feet, invite the Holy Spirit to be present, and let the truth set you free. So until next week, God bless you.
We're going to be back next week, same place and same time. Don't forget, you can watch these programs on demand at cornerstoneassetmetals.com. We'll see you next week for more of the wealth transfer.
Cornerstone Asset Metals has focused on using gold and silver reserves to protect your assets from volatile currencies. Another hard asset that is just as important for your sustainability is food. We believe that preparation is a key to being successful in an unstable economic environment, so we started Cam Ready Food just for you. The Bible tells us that Joseph used the resources of Egypt to prepare for a global famine by storing up food in a time of plenty. His preparation not only preserved the lives of his family, but many others as well. At Cornerstone, we believe the time is now to re-examine this biblical lesson so that you and your family can be prepared for any disaster, job loss, food shortage, or economic instability. You can start preparing today by visiting our website, camreadyfood.com, because food truly is the ultimate currency.
Are you concerned about the security of your financial future? Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you prepare for the extraordinary times ahead by protecting and preserving your assets through silver and gold. At Cornerstone, the protection and preservation of your investment is our first goal. So we are here to serve you with honesty, transparency, and respect. Take control of your future by registering on our website at cornerstoneassetmetals.com or call us toll-free at 888-747-3309. Call now, 888-747-3309. At Cornerstone, securing your future is our goal.